Yeah, yeah. I ain't no role model, not even close to it. I just live my truth and hope that I can grow from it. Searching through my socials and there's holes on it.
Hello everybody, welcome to another video. My name is Aaron Wager, and in this video we're going to be talking about how video games ruined my life. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So I'm going to give you the short answer. Did video games ruin my life? No. However, if I carried on playing video games at the rate I was playing and with the same unhealthy relationship, then I 100% guarantee that it would have ruined my life. So let me give you the context, and I'm going to give you the background. So my story is that I absolutely love video games. I'm 100% fascinated by it. I love the programming side behind it and the whole how technology has advanced, so has the capabilities of video games and what we can do in it now with all the physics, the all like realistic facial recognition and all of this sort of stuff. Absolutely fascinating, very cool, and I think it's an amazing industry. My personal story with video games, ever since the PlayStation 2 to the Xbox 360 to the PS4 and PC, all of that sort of stuff. When I was 13 towards 17, I was playing these consoles, and I honestly was playing it at a unhealthy rate. And at this time, I didn't realize it, but looking back on it now, like all the time spent playing these games, and all the like it was borderline addiction in a way. Like I was like so engrossed in these games, and it had such a capture on my life and my identity. So that's just a little bit of background about me, how I got into video games. I loved it. I was playing it competitively. I loved the whole social aspect of it. But like I said, it was an unhealthy relationship that I had with video games, and ultimately when I turned 17, I kind of just fell out of love with video games. They just really didn't interest me, and I would have a hard time like playing video games. Like I would sit down, I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna play a game for 2 hours, and I'll get 15 minutes into the game and be like, okay, it's time to turn this off, let's do something else. So that's kind of how I fell out of video games. That's my context, my background story, and now let me explain how video games ruined my life. Like I said, did video games ruin my life? Short answer, no. However, if I carried on at the same rate I was playing them, then yes, it would have ruined my life. Now, there's both positives and negatives to this. Some of the positive aspects of video games is the social aspect, like playing with friends online, the connectivity of you can connect with anybody around the world, and ultimately it's just a lot of fun. But I think there also comes a lot of negatives with video games that people don't understand, especially when you're playing it and you're sacrificing other stuff like schoolwork or personal relationships or even like professional work. From my experience, I see a lot of young people use video games as a coping mechanism, as a way to cope with certain challenges they have in their life, a way to distract themselves away from these problems without actually addressing the problems. It can go from being a coping mechanism to a addiction seamlessly, and without people realizing that they are addicted to, which I honestly think is such a shame. And I understand it. Like with any addiction, it's not pleasant, and video games can just be the same way. And even now, like with the stuff that they've introduced in video games, like the loot box stuff, it's borderline gambling mechanics into it. They've got psychologists that are, the video games company are hiring psychologists to help design the games to make the features addicting. So I can understand how kids, especially young kids, can easily get trapped into this sort of addictive video game cycle. However, from my personal experience, the amount of hours I spent in a video game, like let's just say for instance 300 hours I spent in this one video game. Now just imagine if I spent this 300 hours like developing a skill, whether it's learning piano or learning how to code, which I'm doing now, or just anything, learning to make beats if that's what you're interested in. Any sort of skill that you could have spent all these hours that you spent in the game instead on the skill, and just think where you would have been then, where you would have been now, I mean. I understand the games were fun. It was one of a highlight in my childhood. However, there is nothing really to show for it. Like, once the new game comes out, everything you've done in that game, the previous game, all the character building you've done, all the progression you've done, all the time and hours you spent, it all disappears in a way unless you revisit the game. There's nothing physical to show for it. I think this is why I kind of fell out of love with video games, and how it really can ruin people's life, because at the end of the day, they're 27, 29, 34, they spend all these hours into video games and they have nothing to show, no real skills, nothing that's going to help them, with their career. And I just think it's such a shame. The way that I see the world is, I see that I'm a character, like the world is a video game and I'm a character in this game, and my main job now is to make this character the best version of himself, make him as physically fit as possible, make him as intellectual as possible, you know, all these sort of stuff that you would do to build up your character in a game. I'm now doing it in myself, and this world is my game, it's my sandbox. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This was just a quick sort of story of how video games could have ruined my life if I carried on playing video games at a unhealthy rate as I was doing in my past. I know some of you can relate, I know some of you can't. Until next time, peace.
Yeah, they got it bumping.